What is up, boys? Welcome back to Overspray. Well, I finally got a package all the way from Russia. That is right. It says painter tool on it. I don't know if you guys can see. I have no idea what all this Russian lettering says. Maybe I should ask my girlfriend because she would probably know what all this says. But regardless, I ordered a spray gun all the way from Russia. Let's go ahead and check it out. Alrighty, so I went ahead and ordered something straight from Russia, guys. And well, let's go ahead and open this guy up. Pretty excited. I've been waiting almost about a month for this to arrive. And you guys already know I did a vintage DeVilbiss spray gun shootout versus a new generation DeVilbiss battle. Well, today is SATA's turn. So this, guys, is a vintage SATA spray gun known as a GR, which is probably about 1950s-ish. And well, let's go ahead and open this guy up and let's check out what's inside. It is from 1958, I believe. So let's go ahead and see what we got. And ooh, yeah, it looks like this is a some sort of pressure pot style spray gun, and I don't have a pressure pot system, so this might be a little tricky getting this thing to work, but we're gonna try it anyway. And here is a 1958 SATA GR spray gun, and yeah, it looks pretty cool. Wow. Alrighty, so have no idea how I'm gonna get this thing to work. Got a lot of cool details on it, by the way. So if the camera would help out and focus. So obviously an old school SATA. Looks very old, or at least older than anything I've ever seen. It is supposed to be a 1958 spray gun. Don't know too much about it, but from the looks of it, it looks like it's a pressure pot type spray gun. So I'm gonna see if I'm able to even get this thing to work in just a regular normal air compressor, and hopefully be able to spray some paint out of this thing. So it looks like I might have some luck after all. So I was able to take one of the canisters from a Sharp spray gun and make it work. So hopefully, if all things go well, we can put a regulator on this thing and get this thing to spray. Now, like I originally did say, this gun is a siphon fed, or basically a pressure pot system from what it looks like. So I'm not sure if the pressures are going to be different. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they are, but I really don't have much experience with this style of spray gun, to be honest with you. But I'm willing to try and see if it works with you know, just a run-of-the-mill air compressor. So it looks, if you guys notice here on the diagram, you can see here what it's meant to be. It almost looks like this thing is meant for like industrial application, some sort of like I don't know, house painting, or I'm not sure. I was told that this gun is really good for, or from what I've seen, it was really good and really well known for automotive painting, but I'm not sure if that's the same model or not. So we will have to find out. Alright, so looks like as I continue on to looking at the diagrams, it looks like there's several options for this thing. depending on your application. So it can be used for gravity. As you can see right here, it's got a gravity cup. On the bottom, it's got a canister, so you could use it as a siphon feed spray gun, or you can use it as a pressure pop system, which I find it very, very unique because it's got all these options for how you want to use your spray gun, and it's pretty cool. Oops. It's pretty cool, but I need to know if the pressures are going to be the same. How is it going to spray? There's a lot of unanswered questions, if you will. I need to know if this gun is going to work, because I have an idea, like in my head, of another spray gun shootout. And what I really want to do is have a spray gun shootout between a vintage SATA spray gun versus a new generation SATA spray gun, right? So I really want to start kind of playing around with the idea of some of these old school spray guns and really get a feel for what it was like to spray back in the day, because you know, I really haven't been painting that long. I would say about 5 years. I'm all self-taught, and you know, I've learned a lot over the years, but I've never really played around with a lot of these old school spray guns. And so I like to just, I don't know, for my own personal, I don't know, interest, I guess you could say, I really want to shoot with these old school spray guns. So that is an idea for a future video. Obviously I can't spray at the moment, but that is one of the ideas that I have, and it's something that I've always really wanted to try out. And really, I mean, if you look at the gun, there's really nothing too much different about the gun in conjunction with what we have nowadays. I mean, if you look, it's kind of, it's really well machined for how old it is. I mean, it's very superior quality. Like even back then in 1958, they still had some really good machining capabilities and manufacturing capabilities of some of these spray guns that are this old. So it really kind of shows where some of these companies got such a big name. You know, like the DeVilbiss spray gun and the SATA spray guns. You know, why are they such a big conglomerate now? You know, what was their whole, like, what made them so popular, I guess you could say? What makes them so well known nowadays, right? And I think a lot has to do with just overall quality, well-known quality, even from day one. SATA had a really a unique background as well, also in the medical field, just like DeVilbiss did back in the day. DeVilbiss started off with the idea of medicine that can be atomized for the person to be able to breathe it in, you know, kind of like what we have now, like nasal spray or throat spray and stuff like that. The original idea came from DeVilbiss, and that's what they were known for. They were known for, in the medical field, for that. Then they kind of drifted off into perfume. They also drifted off into spray guns. And SATA's history is similar. They started off being known as Sanitaria, which, so SATA is actually short for Sanitaria. So that's where the SATA name actually came from. And what they specialized in was they had patents in syringes, specially made syringes for the medical field as well. It wasn't until later that they started to play around with the idea of spray guns, right around the same time like DeVilbiss started spraying with, started inventing these spray guns, pretty much the same thing with SATA. And what gets me is, even back then, this gun being from the 1950s and this gun being from the 1920s, still, they made some very high-end quality stuff for back in its day. And even just looking at this gun, even though this gun is about 30 years newer than the DeVilbiss I just showed, it really shows a lot of attention to detail, attention to quality, and really the machining and manufacturing capabilities of these companies way back when they first started. So if you start to look at some of the guns from back then to guns nowadays, like the SATA 5000, I mean, just superior quality, right? And the Germans were well known for that. They're well known for their engineering, and especially mechanical engineering. And so even back when, they still had some very amazing engineering capabilities, and they still do, apparently. So they almost wrote the book in engineering, basically. So I'm very curious to see how this is actually going to spray. I don't have anything to technically spray at the moment, but I think what I can do is maybe load up the air compressor, throw some water in there, and then just see if this thing is even going to be able to spit some paint in there, some paint out. So I'm very curious to see. So let me load up the air compressor and see if this thing will do anything. Alright, so I was able to fill this canister up with basically just water. I have the air compressor charged up to about 50 psi. I'm not going to charge it up all the way because it's really not necessary. We're not really going to shoot anything more than 50 psi, I don't think. So let's go ahead and just close this little guy up and see what happens. Reel is broken, so it kind of sucks. But let's go ahead and see what this thing is capable of doing. Whoa! I think it's gonna work, boys. First of all, I gotta say, I see where SATA gets known for its fan size. This thing has a massive fan size comparison to the DeVilbiss, but I gotta give credit where it's due. The SATA is also, like I said, 30 years newer, so 30 years more advanced technology advancement than a 1920s DeVilbiss. So if you guys seen some of my older or one of my previous videos where I spray with the 1920s DeVilbiss, you guys will kind of have an idea of how small that fan was, right? That thing was only about, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches big, and a lot of people were questioning, like, hey, why would you ever spray a car with that, right? Realistically, the Tecna Pro Light would have won, because you're never gonna spray a car with such an old spray gun and it has a massive fan. And that is partially true. I would never spray a car with that thing, but the fact of the matter is that spray gun at one point used to paint cars, right? Somebody at some point used to paint cars with that spray gun. So with that being said, yeah, somebody can technically spray a car with that type of spray gun, but is it realistic nowadays? No, not really. The type of paint that it is, the type of atomization that you kind of need for those types of paints, sometimes these older guns just can't atomize that well. So therefore, you don't get the same amount of finish. But in other cases, some of these guns actually atomize better than some of the guns we have now, because of the whole restrictions and compliance and all that kind of stuff, all the environmental stuff, yeah, it kind of changes the game a little bit for some of the older technology. But if you look at some of the older painters back in the day, they're still using some old school paint guns that are laying the paint flat. Of course, you're gonna have a tit for tat, right? You're gonna have a gun that sprays really well and atomizes super well, but at the same time isn't very efficient. And nowadays with the guns now, they're very efficient, but can't atomize the way that some of the old school spray guns can, right? So that's why a lot of these companies are playing with the technology of HTE, right? Where you kind of have both a conventional spray gun and an HVLP all in one, and kind of have a happy medium, right? Where you're getting a better finish, but at the same time still being compliant with with laws. So give or take. But first impression of this thing, even spraying water, huge fan, massive fan. And I think it has a lot to do with the air horn technology. Even for back then, I think it has a lot to do with how the air horn is designed. And it's basically a 3-step atomization, if you will. And what that means is, if you understand how an air cap works, paint comes out from the center, but it also has the annular hole, which is the center hole that goes around the needle. That's called the annular hole, or annular air jet, or whatever. That concentrates the paint in a spherical or cylindrical shape, right? It's not until the air horns spray their air where it actually will shear the paint in order to create that fan pattern. And if you notice on this air horn right here, it's got 3. So it's got one hole, the first hole, or on the air horn or the air jet, to shear the paint coming out here, and then it's got 2 more to shear the paint even further, which I believe is to make a massive improvement on the fan size. So that has, I believe that has a lot to do with the size of the fan that you're getting. Because when you look at a spray gun like, whoa, almost dropped it. Hang on, give me a second. All right, when you look at the DeVilbiss spray gun, you're gonna notice the difference right away on the air horn design. You can see it only has 1. So it has only 1 step of atomization. So it's not able to shear the paint a second time, right? So I believe it's almost like cutting a pie, right? You're cutting a pie, and then you're cutting the pie again, and then you're cutting the pie again, right? So that would be kind of similar to the SATA back here. But when you look at this one, it's only got 1 hole on the air horn, and it could only shear that paint once. So therefore, you're gonna have much smaller pattern with a 1 hole versus, unless you make that 1 hole very large, and then you might be able to shear it a little bit more, but at the same time, you're not gonna be able to shear it multiple times like you can with the SATA. And that kind of shows the level of how much technology had advanced from 1920s all the way to like 1958, I believe, 1958. So almost 30 years later. So obviously there's going to be a heck of a lot more technological advancements on the SATA than you have with the old school DeVilbiss. At least that's my theory, right? So, but first impression of the SATA. Sorry, I almost dropped it. But first impression of the SATA, it's got a massive fan. It looks like I'm going to be able to paint with this, which was kind of the thing that kind of worried me a little bit was, man, is this thing going to be able to spray paint? And from the looks of it, I think we have a gun that's going to be able to spray paint. So I'm pretty excited about that. and hope you guys are too, because that means that there's going to be another spray gun shootout coming pretty soon. When, I can't say when, but for sure we're going to have another one, and that's going to be an old school SATA versus a new generation SATA. Shit. Alrighty, boys, so hopefully if everything goes well, I think we should have a pretty cool spray gun shootout coming out pretty soon. And now I can't say when exactly because I got a lot of filming to do. I got a lot of work still, and I'm still trying to finish my Civic project car, so it's kind of like a lot of things at once, right? So yeah, I don't know when that spray gun shootout will be. So, but I think what I just saw is pretty promising with the SATA. I think the spray gun shootout will be a pretty good test to see, you know, how did these spray guns back in the day spray, because nobody knows, right? Nobody, well, some people might still be alive that are painting, right? But a lot of, you know, people are, yeah, we don't have any history, let's just say, on this type of painting with these types of guns. There's really no videos out there. There's no books on this stuff. There's no information on this on these kinds of spray guns. So hopefully, you know, I bring some value to somebody, at least some entertainment value, if anything. But yeah, so that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm at 2.1 thousand subscribers. Thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully you guys are all staying safe out there and quarantining and all that. I know UK has some pretty I have a follower of mine said that that in UK they have some very stringent lockdowns right now. So hopefully everybody stays safe, and I know we'll get through this pretty soon. It's just a matter of time. And so yeah, so I'll be here in the garage trying to do my best for you guys. And I know I've been a little MIA. My dad just got double fusion spine surgery. So kind of been dealing with a lot of not personal health, but my family's health. So that's why I kind of haven't been filming in the garage lately. But hopefully, that surgery is already done, and he's on his road to recovery. He's doing all the physical therapy and everything that he has. So, you know, family comes first, and this is just a hobby of mine. But like I said, I'm trying to stay as consistent as possible and trying to give you guys as best of a content as I can with what I got, right? So hopefully you guys enjoy. Thank you guys so much. Stay spraying, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.